Hello, welcome to the channel and welcome back to Resurwreck Autos HQ. So guys, today we are going to be looking at something that not many people are interested in doing or can't do or not prepared to look at or not really sort of, you know, just don't want to dive in there. But you know, I am a trier and I'll always try things. I'll always, if someone says to me, no, you can't do that. Like on this particular job I'm going to show you in a minute, I spoke to various mechanics. One of them, 25 years experience, right? And he said to me, nah, not interested. Don't want to touch it. Not interested at all. And I thought, can it really be that hard? Is it really that complicated to do? And the answer is probably yes, but you know, I just like to get involved. They said to me that I couldn't do loads of things when I first started doing this. And I'm always getting messages from people, comments saying, do this, do that, you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. You can't do that. You ain't got experience to do this. It just goes on and on and on. But unless you try, you will never know for 100% sure if you can or cannot do it. Simple as that. This is one of these jobs. I'll tell you right now, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. And you just got to go for it. You just got to try. So that is what we're going to do. So let's get spun round. I'll show you what car it is. I'll show you what we've got to do. I have been putting little clips of parts for this car over the last couple of videos. I've been sort of just showing you bits and pieces for it, but I'm actually going to show you what it is. So let's get into it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let's do this. Right, okay, here it is, guys. The problem child. So, yeah, basically this is a Ford B-Max 1.6 Powershift automatic gearbox. Yeah, with problems, but we have seen this on the channel before. It has been fixed and it's been driven around with no problems whatsoever. God, I don't know, 6 months now, maybe, by a family member, and no problems whatsoever with the car. It's been absolutely spot on. But all of a sudden, we're getting some issues. So let me show you what I think's going on, and I'll get in. So starts absolutely no problems whatsoever on the button. Don't know if you could hear that. But we've got an engine management light on. We'll get to that and I'll show you that in a bit. But I just wanted to quickly show you, obviously, you know, being an automatic, foot on the brake, which it is, put it into reverse. Yeah. Lift your foot off the brake. Nothing happens, it don't move. With the automatics, it's supposed to slightly start moving. Same as a drive. Put it into drive, like that. Foot off the brake. It don't move. But I can hear the revs change. As soon as you take your foot off the brake, the revs start changing. And they jump. Let me show you. So as I lift my foot off the brake, so it's kind of wanting to sort of move, but it's not. There's not enough there. So that is one telltale sign of a slipping clutch. The other one is that, and it's doing it on this. When you drive it, the rev counter all of a sudden just revs right up. Do you like my sound effects? It just revs right up on its own. Okay, that's another telltale of a slipping clutch. So I do suspect that's what is going on with this. But there is some, let me turn it off. There is some little tests that we can do to rule out other things, because basically on this Powershift automatic transmission gearbox, you've got two actuators, and one's on the bottom of the gearbox and one's on the top of the gearbox. I'll show you that in a bit. They activate, one activates the reverse, and then the other one activates the drives. Sport, that's sport, and that's drive. So you've got two, one for the forward gears and one for the reverse gear. So there is a test you can do by swapping those over, and clearing the codes and seeing if it comes back. If the code comes back to what it is there in there, which is coming up TCM, which is the transmission control module, and it's saying that the fork A has a position problem, or it's not getting the signal right, or there's something there. So fork A is the forward and reverse, the forward gears. So yeah, it's really complicated. I've looked into this quite a while because this car has been sitting for about a week now. Just so that I'm just sort of trying to do my research, trying to see what I can do, trying to see what's going on. So yeah, this isn't your normal clutch. This isn't the way, like normal clutch, you take the gearbox out and then you remove the clutch from the flywheel after removing the gearbox. On this one, you cannot remove the gearbox because the clutch is connected to the flywheel, and the clutch itself has to come out with the gearbox. It's separated from the flywheel, so you have to actually disconnect it from the flywheel, unbolt it from the flywheel before you take the gearbox out, because it won't come out otherwise. So I have already done some research on this. Now, let me show you. I'll show you now the parts that I've got for this car. Let's start with the forks, because this is what it is. This is what they're saying. It's on the computer. It says fork A. So this is a fork that's set inside the gearbox, right? And it moves like this, and it controls. One of them controls the drive, the forward 1, 2, 3, 4 gears, and the other one controls the reverse. Right? You stay with me. The forks are very slightly different as well. As you can see, this one's a smaller version and this one's a larger version, because inside the gearbox it's a double clutch gearbox. Right? So that's how it is. It's a double clutch gearbox, and that's how it's set up. And it's got this is a release bearing that goes in the middle of the clutch, behind the clutch. This is a big job, I've got to be honest. And this, I know now why people don't want to do it, because they haven't even got these tools. Now these tools, even this one, this is a removal and installation of the clutch. You can, but it's not the correct way. This is the correct way of removing it and installing it. So yeah, it looks complicated, but when you actually get down to it, it ain't actually that complicated. This here is it. You get actually with the kit. This is a very crucial tool to have, because they actually fit. If you have a look in there, that spline, and then you can move it and adjust it. So if you see, I'm moving so this tool is very important. It's really hard to do without that. So it comes with the kit. It's got all these things. These are for pressing in the actual gearbox, the clutch into the gearbox. It is really complicated. We're going to get into it. I'm going to show you more in more detail. This is not a how-to video. This is just what I'm doing to try and resolve the slipping clutch. Inside here as well, another kit. This is for removing and installing 2 oil seals inside the gearbox. Now, I've got a funny feeling that is possibly what's causing the slipping, is that inside the gearbox there's 2 oil seals, they're leaking and it's spitting it all around the clutch and it's contaminated the clutch plates, and that's what's causing the slipping. And it's not, it's not acting as it should, I think. You know, I'm only guessing at this point because we haven't actually removed it. But let me show you the actual clutch. Now, this is the right clutch. It's come from Ford. It wasn't, this was not cheap. This was about £450, including the dreaded Lurgy VAT, for those in the know. But this is an original LUK clutch. You can see it there, LUK. So that comes from Ford main dealer. Again, this is it's a double clutch setup, and you have to set it up and do certain things. At the minute, it's the double clutch is locked. You have to remove the old one, install the new one, and then unlock it on both forks before you can go any further. At the minute, that's locked. So yeah, there's a certain procedure, and it's involved. This is an involved job, but I do think it is going to be the gearbox out. But there is a couple of things I want to check first. So let me set you up. Bear with me for now. I just want to take apart a few things, and then I'll come back to you and I'll show you exactly what I have done. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's do this. Right, okay, guys, I'm in the car. I've got the computer. This is actually a new computer that I'm using. It's by Think Car. Yeah, pretty cool little thing this is. But it's doing more. This is doing more than my Autel is doing. So let me show you. I've scanned the car. It's on ignition. Let me show you the codes. Right, so transmission control module, TCM, shift fork A. You can see it right there, shift fork A. And it says shift fork A, calibration not learned. So you can actually calibrate it and learn the position of the fork, the clutch position, the biting point. You can learn all those bits and pieces. But yeah, this is what is coming up, shift fork A, with that there. So yeah, let me explain. Let me just put that there. Let me just explain what that is. I showed you that part, that fork, which was in that box, but I'll show you where they are and where they're located. So you've got 2 actuators. One there, that's one actuator, and then one there. One's A and one's B. I'm not sure which way around and which one it is. But inside there, behind them actuators is your forks, basically. So there is a couple of tests that we can do. The other thing, that right there is the transmission control module, TCM, for the gearbox. That just it's got all electrics inside, and it just tells it changes gear, and that does all the electric side of it, that TCM. So a lot of people were saying just change the TCM straight away, but I'm not going to go down that route just yet, because I still think it's got a slipping clutch. So but there's a couple of tests that we can do. The first one is we're going to take those actuators out, and we're going to put the tool that I showed you earlier, we're going to put that inside this one here. We're going to put that inside. You turn it 14 times, okay? Hold it tight 14 times, and then just slowly let go, and it should just spring back, okay? If it doesn't spring back, it means there's a problem with that fork, 100%. So that's one test that you can do just to see before we start taking this gearbox out, is using this to see if it, after you turned it 14 times and let it go slowly, it should release back on itself. If it don't, you've got a sticking fork. And it's saying fork A. So it could be fork A that's sticking. But even if it is, you still need to get that gearbox out to get to the fork, to replace them from the new ones I've got. So that's that one test to do. The other thing we're going to do as well is we're going to swap over the actuators from top to bottom and see if the code's the same. Because if it is the same and it's not changed, then it rules out that there's an actuator problem, okay? The other test we're going to do as well is that we're going to remove this TCM right here, and then behind there's two like access like two little fork things that go into the gearbox, and they activate the cogs inside the gearbox that what changes the gears, okay? The top one is really pronounced for braking inside the gearbox, so that you can turn the cog and it's supposed to stop. If it doesn't stop and carries on going round and round, it's broken inside the gearbox. Are you staying with me, guys? Because this is really involved. It really is. But that's another test we're going to do. So I am going to crack on with that first, and then you'll see me do that. Let me strip them all down, swap them all over, and then I'll come back to you when we're a little bit further and a little bit deeper into removing these bits and pieces. So yeah, let's do this. Right, okay, guys, getting somewhere. So, let's get into it. So this is the TCM, Transmission Control module. This is what controls all the gears, when to change and stuff like that when you're driving. So you can see these two like spline things that go into the actual side of the gearbox. Okay, there's two there. But yeah, this is the part number and the tag. So you can see this is made by Continental. It's not made by Ford, but Ford put their stamp on it. Ford buy these and the gearbox from another company. The gearbox is not Ford's either. So, yeah, let's get back to the first test. So those two splines there, they go into those two holes there. You can see them just there. So the top one, the bottom one, I've read and looked into, doesn't normally create a problem. There's normally, that stops, and it has, so it's stopped. Okay, it's locked. Now, the top one is the one that normally creates the problem. And what happens is inside the gearbox, on the back of the casing of the gearbox, this part of the back of the gearbox, there's like a little metal stop, and they snap off and break inside the casing. And you have to replace the whole casing, this part here. You don't have to replace this part, which is the gears, but you do have to replace the casing on the outside because it's on the inside of this casing. So if that's snapped off inside, that cog there, that sits there, that there will not stop. It will just keep going and going and going and going. But as you can see, it's stopping. Which means that there's no brake on the inside of that gearbox. So that's the first test which is passed. I've got to be honest, which is good. Good news. So we can carry on. There's one more telltale sign that this gearbox has got a leaking oil seal on the inside on the input shaft. And that's because of this mess here. Now, I've checked the other side. The drive shaft is not leaking. It's like this. It's just this colour. You can tell something's leaking because it will look like that. So look at the gear. Look at the sump on that side. It's not like that. That's all dirty in the middle, and then it's the same both sides. So this, I think, is another sign that is leaking oil on the inside of the gearbox, and I think it's as it's leaking on the inside, it's flicking all over and it's contaminating the gear, the clutch plates. And I think that's what's slipping, guys. I think that's our problem. But I'm going to continue with the other test, and that is now to take off these actuators. This one here, and there's one on top. I'm going to take them out, and then you put that tool inside. We're going to turn it to see if it spins back and flicks back. It should do. I should be able to set you up on the tripod and show you that one. And I'll test the other one, the top one as well. And then I'm going to swap over these actuators as well, just to see if that if the code comes back the same code. And that's another test that we can do to test these actuators are working. I think they are. I think they're working. I think all this is fine. And I think we have to take this gearbox out. But let's do the other tests before we start dropping the oil, gearbox oil, which is, I think, that there, I believe, is the gearbox oil drain off. I think, is it? It looks like it. Yeah, it could be that. That could be the drain off for the oil. Yeah, we're going to be taking this gearbox out. That's a whole different story, because before we can remove this gearbox, I have to remove that sump to get to the bolts, which are on the back of the flywheel. It is a process. This is a process, guys. But let's do the test first, and then we'll carry on. There's no way this is going to get done within, like, obviously, a day. No chance. Might be 2 or 3 days. I don't know yet. Depends. I don't want to rush it. You know what I mean? We've got to do it right. So it's going to take a while to do this, but let's continue with the tests and then we'll move on. So I just wanted to explain it. It's a little bit of a process. I know I'm waffling on a little bit, but I have to waffle on to explain because this is not, people don't understand like how involved this is. And a lot of mechanics won't touch them for this reason. But I will. Let's do this. Right, okay, guys, I want to quickly cut in here and just show you what I'm doing. So, yeah, as you can see, I've removed the actuators on the bottom and on the top. This is the top one. I've written T on it so I don't get them confused. I am going to swap these over, but I don't think this is the problem. I don't think this is our problem. I still definitely think it's a slipping clutch. But I'm just doing these checks and tests just to sort of rule stuff out. So basically, yeah, so what you do is you get this spline tool that come with the toolkit that I got for this clutch. And you put it in and you basically turn it 14 times and hold it and then pull the ratchet off and then slowly let it go to see if there's any resistance on the fork, because what you're doing is you're winding it in and lifting the fork up, so you're actually moving the clutch plate, because the fork moves the clutch this way. So the force of moving the clutch should spring back with no resistance, and it should just be all right. Now, I've already checked the top one, and it's perfect. But I just wanted to show you, how it's done. So I'm going to stick you on this tripod here that I've just set up. Let me just stick you on there. Do that. And then you'll see me unwinding this and slowly letting it go to see if there's any resistance. Okay, so that way you can't go anywhere, that way. So that way you've got to go 14 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times. Like that. And then you hold it, take the ratchet off. And all I'm trying to do is to see, it's going to spring back on me. But I'm in it, and you just watch it, slowly let it spring back like this to see. There you go. Now that was really smooth coming back. The spring is really nice. So I don't think it's an actual fork problem. So, yeah, I don't think it's an actual fork problem that I've got. I've actually bought them, didn't I? I showed you the forks. They're in there. But I don't think it's them. I still think it's a slipping clutch because of those oil seals. Now, inside the gearbox, there's 2 oil seals on the input shaft. And the original ones that come from the factory or new, the oil seals were black, okay, around the edges. The newer ones, the updated oil seals, are supposed to last longer and better and don't fail. They're like an orange copper colour. Now, you have to get those from the main dealer. but obviously we're going to have to remove this gearbox. So I do still feel that we're going to have to remove this gearbox. I'm going to leave the actuators for now. I'm probably going to swap those over when we've done all the work, because I don't think it's them. I've got a real funny, it's not them. I think it's that oil seals are slipping that clutch, and that's what's causing our problem. So yeah, we're going to go down the route now of removing this gearbox, the start of it anyway. We're not going to be able to do all of it today. We're just going to be able to, because there's still a lot to do. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the oil in the sump and then remove that sump so we can remove the bolts on the back of the flywheel, which is the actual clutch it's connected to. It'll all make sense once I remove that, guys, and I'll show you inside. But we have to drop that oil first. So I'm going to drop this oil, drop the gearbox oil. So that's done. Then we're going to remove that sump, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's do this. Right, okay guys, well there we go. That is the sump down. So let me show you and explain what's got to happen now. And the reason why we're dropping this sump. So the reason why I'm dropping the sump is because we need to get, so the sump sits there, this is your gearbox, there's the flywheel there. And can you see these bolts? Let me just go in a little bit. These bolts here, okay? So those bolts go all the way around, and that nut is the clutch, okay? So, and then when you go, when you turn the engine over like this, I'm using this thing as an example. As I turn it, you gain access to all the nuts. All right, like that. And you just keep turning them around, turn them around until you've undone all the actual nuts on the back of this this flywheel. Now, the stud, can you see the stud there? All right, let me just explain what that is, and then you might kind of get a better understanding of what it is. So that stud are these. Yeah. So you can see now that these studs going all the way around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got to undo all 6 of those nuts, and that allows the gearbox and the clutch to go out as one. And you cannot get this out. You cannot get the gearbox out without doing this, what I'm doing here. You cannot get this out without removing them bolts. So, yeah. And another little telltale that we've got a problem inside the gearbox as well is the absolute mess that I'm seeing at the bottom of the bell housing here. Like inside there is an absolute mess. So that is obviously clutch powder and maybe the gearbox, the oil seals in there. I don't know, but I'm just assuming that's what's going on, and we're getting that sort of and we're getting that slip. Now on one of these, I think it's that one there. So can you see that one there? It's got a blue marking on it. Go a bit closer. Can you see the blue marking on this one? Now we've got to make sure that we have that marking back on the other clutch, because I think this is weighted. So you've got to make sure that you put it in the right way, on the right one, and they've got to go in the right order. So yeah, I knew it was going to be like this, because I just read so many things about it, seen a few videos in America. No one over here is doing this. I've got to be honest. Everyone in America, they're all over it, because in America, most of the cars in America are automatics. So most of the Focuses and the Fiestas, they're all automatics over there. So, and these are horrifically going wrong. So people are taking them apart. So this is how I know, a step by step how I'm doing this. I'm just following their guidance, really. So yeah, I think now you understand why I've done this. We've got to undo the bolts and we'll mark them up. But yeah, we're going to remove all the bolts, and then we're going to carry on trying to get this gearbox out. I've got to take the drive shafts. They've got to come out as well yet. So we've got to do that. So there's loads of bits and pieces still to do. So let's get cracking. Let's do this. Right, okay, guys. I did not think I was going to get this out today. But here we are. It is out. It is so heavy, this automatic transmission box. Look at the scratches that I've done trying to pull it out. But yeah, very, very dirty. Look how filthy it is in there, look. So, yeah, I still think it's got a slipping clutch. One of those clutches in there is slipping, or both slipping, because of an oil leak. Yeah, which I believe is in there, which is, look how dirty it is in there. And that's just going all over the forks and all over the bits and pieces, all over the thrust bearing, the release bearing. It's all behind this clutch. You know, but there's a procedure of taking this off. You've got like a ring here. See that ring there? That's got to come out, and then that pulls forward. It won't pull forward. It'll give you a little bit, but it won't pull completely out. So yeah, you take that ring off, pull that out, and then there's another ring the other side, and then once that's out, we can then use this tool. Oh, and you set it up kind of like that on top of it, on it, and then you bolt it through around, and then you stick the this inside. So once you've bolted it down to the bell housing, you stick that in, and that pushes against that shaft there, and that's what draws the clutch away and out, because obviously there's a oh, I'm so hot now. There's a way of doing this, and this is why I got it. This is what all I got this for. So, but yeah, there we go. It is out. Let me just show you the flywheel. Quite a small little flywheel, actually, this is. But I had to reinstall and refit the sump underneath of the engine so I can support it and hold it in place. But yeah. God, I did not think, honestly, did not think I was going to get this out today. So, yeah, we are going to come back to this tomorrow. I've spoken to Ford main dealer, Ford's Parts Plus. They are going to be delivering me out the oil seals for this one. 2 drive shaft seals, one each side. So we've got 2 new drive shaft seals. And then behind this there's 2 more oil seals. They're behind that on the actual input shaft, which is that shaft there, but further in. And I think it's those that are leaking and spitting the oil all on the other side. Not necessarily on this side. I don't think it's not going to hit here. That's going to be clean because that's against the flywheel. It's going to be the other side of this, clutch. So, yeah, tomorrow we are going to take this completely out, clean everything up. The interesting thing that I found as well when I spoke to Ford's Parts Plus, spoke to a guy about this, and he said to me on the phone, he said, are you fitting new forks? And I said, well, I have got new forks to go in. It come with a kit. And he said, I'd have a look at the old forks first, because he said the old version of the forks are better than the newer version for some reason. I don't know why. He doesn't know why, but he said that most of the other guys are using the original forks as long as they're okay, and they're not damaged or broken. I know, it sounds crazy, but that is what he's telling me. So we're going to find out tomorrow once we get this removed. Sounds a little bit scratchy and scrapey, but I think that's supposed to be like that. I think. But yeah, new clutch going in tomorrow, guys. A good clean up. Right, I am shattered. I am going to leave it there. That is the part 1 on this clutch replacement job that we've started to do. I'm absolutely shattered. So that's it, guys. That's the end of today's video. Don't forget, drop me a comment down below. Give the video a thumbs up. And I'll see you tomorrow when we're going to take this completely out and change and make it all new again, all clean. So, yeah, thanks for watching. See you soon.